It's the 2020 NFL Draft. The Bills are on the clock at 54, so we're going to have to wait a day to see what happens. For right now, I'm just going to see if Miami screws up their picks somehow.
The New York Giants select Andrew Thomas, tackle.
Ah! Wow, all right.
With the 5th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft,
Come on, don't be quarterback.
Miami Dolphins select Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback, Alabama. Well, with the 53rd pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Jalen Hurts, quarterback.
Whoa!
Well, it just got interesting, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
As Jalen Hurts is going to Doug Peterson, and that
They're basically like, access denied, Carson Wentz. It's over. You failed us. We're moving on with a worse quarterback in Jalen Hurts. Okay, here we go, Buffalo. And then we're going to keep talking about Jalen Hurts for another 15 minutes before the Bills pick. Yeah, I'm going, but you can't see me because I wasn't sent email about this thing.
With the 54th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills select AJ Epenesa.
Yeah!
Defensive end.
I like this pick.
So AJ Epenesa goes to what is already going to be a very, very good defense.
All right, here we go, guys.
Let's go to the commissioner, the pick for the Bills. Buffalo Bills select Zack Moss, running back, Utah.
Whoa! All right.
Well, we just talked about Jonathan Taylor being an uber productive.
Hey Bills fans, JKman99 here to talk about the second round pick and the third round pick of the 2020 NFL Draft, AJ Epenesa and Zack Moss. All right, so let's start with AJ. First of all, before we even get started with the analysis, I just want to say that I'm probably not going to go through a lot of X's and O's here. I'm more so just going to go through my emotional feelings on the picks because, quite honestly, I think the Bills are kind of all set right now, and any benefit that we get from this draft is just kind of like an extra bonus. And that's how I feel about the Bills right now. So there's no one pick that can happen in this draft that will make me think, oh, like, now we're complete. And that's a good thing. Like, I feel that if I were to say that, we'd still have a missing piece. Now, there is one area of need. Now, I just said all that. But there is one area of need I still think we do need to address, and I will get to that towards the end of the video when I think what will happen tomorrow. But it already has been addressed in free agency, so in a way, it's already taken care of, and it doesn't really matter what happens in the draft. But we'll get back to that. So let's start with AJ. First of all, I had him as my 4th best edge rusher. So the fact that we got him at the late part of the second round, I think, is a huge bonus. I had mocked, as you know from my mock draft, Julian Okwara to us, who was the 8th best edge rusher, and I had AJ going to Seattle, 27th overall. So like literally halfway in between the beginning and where the Bills picked. So you can't say anything bad about that. Now, I tried to figure out, like, okay, why did he fall? And quite honestly, I don't know. I think part of it is just his translation to the NFL, based on what people were honestly saying about him. Like when ESPN got up there to talk about him, they really weren't like, oh my God, we totally got this guy from the first round. They weren't like, they were just like, that's interesting. And that made me think, okay, why aren't they more excited about this? And in their description, I kind of understand why. They talk about him, oh, maybe he can scooch inside and be a defensive tackle. And I'm like, why would this guy be a defensive tackle, like when we're looking specifically for edge rush? Now, I looked at his stats. Okay, I guess I'm going to get into stats a little bit. And that's where it gets exciting. Because when you look at his sophomore season and see that he had about 11 or 12, maybe 11 and a half sacks, and then you see that he didn't even start his sophomore year, that's where I can see how he's going to transition into the Bills. When we lost Shaq Lawson, we kind of lost depth on the line. We lost an edge rusher that wasn't a starter, but when he came in, he did damage. And I think AJ will be able to step in and do that part. So I don't see him as a starter. I see him as like a third down defensive end, or somebody who's going to rush and get the quarterback, because that's what we're looking for with that pick. And he did it in college, and he did it at Iowa, which plays good teams. So I think that's what we're going to use him for. It is a little disappointing that I don't see him as like a day one starter. It's not impossible, because who knows what's going to happen when they get to camp. Like, for all we know, Jerry Hughes might be like the odd man out, and this might be the year we cut him. I hope not, but you never know at this point. You really don't. He's been on the team since 2013, so that stat alone makes it possible, unfortunately, just the way that the league is now. So I'm excited about it. Not so much from his tape or whatever, but just the fact that I think we got a steal, personally, and I think that's a good thing. I realize a lot of teams passed on him, but you know what? I think the way I did my board, he came fourth, so I think we have a steal. All right, so let's talk about Zack Moss. First of all, he's related to Santana Moss. I thought that was kind of interesting. Now, playing I believe he's in the Pac-12. So I don't believe that his talent, or not his talent, but I don't believe that who he's playing against has a lot of competition. That was the word I meant to say, competition. Obviously, USC, Oregon, good schools there. But everybody else, kind of losing records. So not really the biggest in terms of competition. But I don't think that really matters in this case. He's done well against the good schools. He's had 3 years of both 1,000 yards rushing and over 10 touchdowns in each season as a rusher, and I think that's good. He's a beast. He's almost compared to another Marshawn Lynch, and in a weird way, he's also another Singletary. He was the 7th best running back on my board, but at the same time, he was drafted around the same point as Singletary, so that doesn't really bother me too much. I think the running backs in this year's draft were just a little bit better than last year. So I'm excited to see what he can do, and maybe he could start over Singletary. We'll find out. I think it's going to be a good 1-2 punch, though. Both of these guys, I'm kind of talking about both of them now. Both of them didn't have the best speed. Like AJ had like a 5.40, and Zach's was like a 4.65 40. So I mean, neither one of these guys are going to wow you with their speed, and that kind of worries me. I'm going back a little bit here with AJ with the edge rushing. It's like, okay, if you're running just a little bit quicker than Tom Brady, are you really that great of an edge rusher in the NFL? And I think that's a decent question to ask. And I think that's why he might have slipped. I think that might be part of it. But time will honestly tell, and we won't know until he gets in there and starts doing what he needs to do. So yeah, I kind of went a little back and forth there. Apologize about that. But the truth of the matter is, I'm very impressed with both of these players. I think they're both really good. And I mean, we did better than expected. And we picked top 10 for both positions, at least from what I can see. And I think that's a really good thing, because the Bills have not done that. Like, we've picked second-round players that are, like, mocked at like, the 5th round. Terrell Troop would be an example of that. I think it was more maybe 4th, but you get my point. Like, we've overdrafted, as Mel Kiper would say, so many times, and we're just picking smart picks now. And anybody we get now is a bonus. So, good for us. And tomorrow, you know what? And this is where I was getting with at the beginning of this. Really, the only area I would like to see us get tomorrow is linebacker, because we did lose Lorenzo Alexander. We brought in AJ Klein, but I'd like to see somebody else possibly challenge that position. I know we still got Vosean Joseph, but he didn't do much, even though he was ranked pretty high for me last year in the draft. He didn't do too much in camp, so I don't have a lot of faith there. So I'd really like to see another guy get in there at weak side linebacker and see what we can do there. And also, and this is also a really good point, Matt Milano, who knows what we're going to do with him? I mean, next year we have to sign. I don't know if it's necessarily next year with a 5th-year option. I think we're getting close. We got Matt Milano. We got TreDavious White. Like, they were drafted the same year. I mean, I have a bad feeling we might not be able to keep Milano. So, I mean, we got to look at that linebacker position. And remember, Milano was a 5th rounder himself, so maybe in the later rounds we can find a good linebacker in the linebacker position. In terms of names for you, oh man, I don't think Markus Bailey has been drafted yet. So there's a name for you. It's really hard to predict who's going to be picked in the 4th round at this point. And honestly, if we don't pick linebacker, it's fine. We already got AJ Klein. We have Vosean Joseph from last year. We did address it one way or another. I just would like to get another body in there in that competition. And if Matt Milano leaves, we can address that next year or in free agency again if we have to. So that's where I'm at. I think the Bills have done well, and honestly, as long as they don't draft quarterback tomorrow, I will not be upset with anything they did. I mean, look, we didn't need running back, and I'm thrilled that we picked running back. So that's what I mean. It doesn't matter if we pick at the position we already have, even if we went wide receiver. That honestly wouldn't bother me that much, even though we traded what we did for Stephon Diggs. It wouldn't bother me because who knows what's going to happen with Beasley or John Brown or whatever. Like, I don't know how long their contracts are, so just something to think about. All right, I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say about the Friday night draft. So if you want to leave any comments, let me know what you thought about the 2 picks. And thank you so much for tuning into this video. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And as always, especially in this unknown environment that we are living in, take care.